All right, family. Black Power. Black Power is the truth hour with General Sarah. Soon said he kick back, get your mind ready for some information that's guaranteed to be heavy. I'm excited and delighted to be accepting members to not only the Sarah Soon Seti YouTube page, but the General Seti YouTube page. Two dynamic institutions on YouTube giving you nothing but black power, black divinity. I want you to subscribe immediately. Do not hesitate to subscribe. We got memberships for the family. The link right down in the video description is in the chat. All you had to do was just click it. You get a video introduction rundown on the memberships, what they entail. You see one you like, you should most definitely join, even if you don't. I appreciate your presence here at the Sarah Soon Seti General Seti YouTube page. Continue to engage, continue to advance. That's right, family. The General got a new website on Teachable. We're going to be uploading a lot of dynamic curriculums, certificate programs and courses. The first one up, 25 Steps to the Redemption of Definitive Black Manhood, for strictly for the brothers, giving you structure and guidance unlike any other program out there. This was custom designed by the General, laid out for the brother. I know all the problems, give you the best answers, and we can, as a brotherhood, work through anything. We got the Brotherhood of Heru Round Table once a week where the brothers sit down and discuss very important information, topics pertinent to our growth and development. You need that when the brothers get together and we start having these conversations and answers come up, man, from the brotherhood, man, is a beautiful thing. It can help you. It can heal you. So most definitely, we also got coaching calls by the General. And if you need that coaching call and you need the General to throw you the lifeline, make it, get in there, sign up for it so we can make the call. That's right. Ring the alarm, KingSeti.com, online marketplace. A lot of magnificent, amazing products, T-shirts, African and Kemetic necklaces, holistic tonics, and so much, much more. Get over there, check out the catalog, get you something nice, get you a discount, shop and save and shop. Pull the fire alarm, GeneralSeti.com, Seti University, 2,500 videos, 40 different subjects, all the subjects that you know and love from the General, the classics of the classics. There's not another website nowhere on the planet that could compare or compete. You should become a member today. And everybody knows Seti popping on Patreon. They're popping his page on Patreon by far. Over 500 exclusive live streams only to be seen on Patreon, no other platforms. And so you in all the new live streams that's coming up, the Olmec Voyages of the Nile for the advanced scribe, get over there and get that work because it's dynamic. To all the family that donated, I thank you. Those that would like to donate, link is in the chat video description. Click it, donate. I thank you, appreciate you. Thank you again. Make sure you subscribe to all my YouTube channels, King Seti, General Seti, Sarah Soon Seti. Rock that notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up. Share it with your family and friends and comment. Just don't say nothing stupid because I will ban your ass. Now, family, we got to understand something. We just talk about how the United States got a lot of powerful weaponry. You know what I'm saying? But see, other people ain't gonna fight like that. They ain't gonna fight like that. They ain't got that kind of weaponry. And so when you up against powerful technology like that, people go to guerrilla warfare. You see, they they go into the terror, and so Iran, with the southern border being wide open, northern border being wide open. You don't know how long. If they got sleeper cells over there, it wouldn't be far-fetched. And you probably would, if you had to consider it, you probably you would lean more to the likelihood that there is sleeper cells, and not just Iran, probably China, shit, all the enemies, because they at a disadvantage. And you stupid enough to leave your border open, all type of vagabonds. You ain't many of them. You don't know who in here. You don't know. It ain't like they came through, the legal way where you could track them. You know where they at, where they located. Make sure they check in, and so you can keep some type of a tab on them. And so with the United States and Iran gearing up and they saber rattling, like that this shit could go down any second now. You would expect that, Iran would have some form, because that's what they deal. They deal in terror. All of their proxies, whether it was Hamas, whether it was Hezbollah, whether it's the Houthis, and all of them, they master the technology of terrorism. You see? And so when you up against odds as great as having to fight the United States military, which is pound for pound, you're just not going to be able to do. And so you're not going to be able to do. They come into your dough, and your dough coming off the hinges. The only way you can halfway or have some semblance that you are able to strike a blow on your own behalf is the poor man's guerrilla warfare, where you can you can strike fear in being in the mist and being in the shadows. You hit and run and you disappear, and you bring terror to the land. That's how you do that. And so a lot of people's is discussing the fact that, and what do they have? A lot of people don't know that they have portable nukes. They got nukes you could put in a backpack. You feel what I'm saying? They'll put that motherfucker in the backpack and carry it on in, just like just like a kilo of cocaine. But it'll be a goddamn nuke. You understand? Able to do and cause great destruction. They got all type of technology today, and so you got to be careful and aware of these, the capabilities. This should be major, that that we understand the capabilities of basic military science. I think that should be a part of our children's education, and even into adulthood, that you are understanding what can strike you. You read the news and shit, and and niggas don't go no further than the local news and shit. Nigga got shot here, nigga got shot here, but you got to also you move up on into not just your neighborhood, but citywide, countywide, statewide, knowing national, international, what's going on. That's why I try to talk about things on all these levels. That you understand that you just ain't a nigga that ain't worried about just getting a smoke and getting a goddamn getting you a cold 40 for the evening and shit, so you can sleep, get drunk and go to sleep and shit, and wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. Ain't got no concern about the realities of the world. And this is where we got to stop. And too many of our people, we think just dissing the United States is an imperialist. All these motherfuckers is imperialist. Every last one of the European, Asian motherfuckers, all of them, imperialists. God damn it, they all, and when the UK was on top at one time. France was on top at one time. Portugal was on top at one time. You see, all these motherfuckers had a spot. Spain was on top at one time. You see, Germany was on top. All of them. Russia was on top. Soviet Union, China, Japan was on top. Yeah, they was imperialists and shit. You know what I'm saying? So ain't none of these motherfuckers, it just ain't their time. So now that it may be the United States time. And so everybody say, woe is United States. when we prey on their downfall. And it's all right. You got your right to do that if they have been immoral and this, that, and the third. But we are also over here too, and we didn't have a goddamn thing to do with it. You see, and so we are here, and we don't have nowhere to go, and this is and we didn't build, and so it's a segment of this society that is ours. And so when we speak of America, we speak of us. We don't speak of as a whole, because there is no whole. It ain't never been a whole. So we always speak of and until we can get somewhere, we're not gonna root for no motherfucker bombing or this, that, and the third, and this, that. So if Iran come over here and they Iran need to get their ass kicked. That's who yes, Iran need to get their ass kicked. If they think they're going to come over here and indiscriminately set off bombs and destroy the infrastructure of the United States while we over here, fuck that. I agree, down with Iran. That's the way I look at it, down with Iran. May they fall just like all the other motherfuckers fall, Without a doubt, without hesitation. Y'all motherfuckers, and any other motherfucker. People talk about what the Israelis did to the Palestinians. We'll talk about what the Palestinians did to the Africans. Yeah, how do you think they got in the land? See, now today is their ass getting the fire. They getting fire put to their ass today. And so people look and say, oh, but look, but the demise of, you talking about, they talking about how many thousands of Palestinian, goddamn it, millions of Africans died. Millions upon millions, into the hundreds of millions. So the motherfucker want to cry over and yeah, okay. Yeah, but when it's time for our tears, ain't no tears. Ain't no talking about, taking shit to the UN. Ain't nobody talking about reparations, global reparations for what happened to African people. Ain't nobody talking about none of that. So, but anytime is one of they ass, you supposed to be crying and weeping, and motherfuckers walking around here talking about they marching for the Palestinian, and niggas over here been dying in America for damn near 400 years and without any break in the damn the genocide, none whatsoever. A constant, continuous genocide in America for over 400 goddamn years, and motherfucker talking about what's going on over there. Man, get the fuck out of here. Straight up. They brought it on themselves. What goes around comes around. It's just your turn now. It's your turn now. Everybody get a turn. When you do wrong, you get your turn too. And so this shit is coming back on you for what, has happened to African people over there. Look at North Africa. Look at what's going on over there. We gonna cry. Where all them black people that was up there? Yeah, what happened to all the black people, the indigenous black people in Northern Africa? Some is still that they're here, but where are they? They been ran south. Some been exterminated. You see, that's not their land. But you want to talk about, the Palestinian? Where the Africans? Where the indigenous North Africans? You see where they at? We done seen the pictures on the cave paintings, Tassili Angiers, and many other rock paintings showing the black people all through Northern Africa. Where they at? Where we still got some of our Berber family up there, Tuaregs and things of that nature. But it was a lot more than that. Great civilizations in Northern Africa, all over Africa, been destroyed by them same people that you call Palestinians. So why but the thing is, I understand that, they're going to fight like, on some guerrilla warfare. You see how they ran up into the Israelis and, into Israel, and they kidnapped all kind of people. It's shit, you know what I'm saying? It could be your ass. It could be your family. It could be, see, niggas has been lulled to sleep. That's the reality. They don't think that type of shit could happen, but it could happen to your ass today, tomorrow, just as well. And so you got to be these people that you rooting for or you think you rooting for. They don't have no love in their heart for your ass. They would, if you was over there, your ass would have been kidnapped too. So you just know that. And so they could very well have sleeper cells in the United States, waiting and willing to bring death and destruction on our people. And I advise our people to be ready for anything in any form, motherfucker, that, doing anything out of off with your motherfucking head. Simple as that. You over here doing shit that could bring loss of life and destruction of property and right in, off with your motherfucking head. Get them up out of here. You understand what I'm saying? They're a threat to you. You motherfuckers think they come over here and they distinguish. Yeah, that we got to fight, but we had to know when to, we had to separate the fights. You understand what I'm saying? We had it, but if motherfuckers trying to bring mayhem and destruction right here to the soil where your babies lay their head and your family lay there, you got to deal with that immediately. They not gonna give a fuck who it is. They're gonna try to bring death and destruction to anybody in America. And so I understand a lot of people feel, but Iran is a fucking, like I say, them Arabs have decimated African people. I don't have fuck you. Real talk. Yeah, I don't have, when people have, some form of compassion on people, fuck them. None whatsoever. So whatever happened to them, if them B-2 stealth bombers take off and I wouldn't give a goddamn. You brought it on yourself. Your vicious energy that you've been, destroying African civilizations over in that region for thousands of years now. You see, and enslaving and carrying black people all over the world as slaves. You know what I'm saying? We don't give a goddamn about what's happening, and it's your time. And if you ain't the bigger goddamn, if you ain't the bigger figure and you didn't pick the fight with the wrong motherfucker, you going down. That's just the reality. You see, and if any type of, any type of any type of a terrorist attack on the soil of America, I hope they bomb the shit out of you. Just continue to bomb you motherfucker until you tap. You know what I'm saying? If it's a motherfucker left with a hand, but it bomb their ass until they tap, and that's just the reality. And so you motherfuckers out there, you keep thinking and I see people saying, oh, what? Let's look at the whole history. Okay, now yeah, okay, somebody kicking your ass, but where was all these people that's broadcasting? Where was they at when these same nations was bringing death and misery and mayhem to other nations when they was the lead terror on the planet? You see, when they was the lead terror on the planet, bringing all this death and destruction, nobody said shit. And so now they got the power the same. The little lands that they got the same way these Europeans got it. It's just been it's been longer years, so you tend to forget, or even if you even knew that's how they got it, that they are not the original people of these lands. So they took the land just like these Neanderthals. Then they Neanderthals too. They just saying Neanderthals. You know what I'm saying? They saying Neanderthal. Same bloodline. That's what they is. You see, that then took lands that do not belong to them. So when people always talking about the United States, okay, so what? God damn it, so goddamn what? All these motherfuckers, when you look and you fair and you run down their resume, every one of these motherfuckers has been a imperialist. Most of these European nations at one point in time was an imperialist, and that they had done very similar things, and some to even a greater extent than the United States, to a greater extent, far greater extent. Okay, let's look. Anytime people want to take the time to, and then you'll stop saying, oh, Russia ain't doing shit. Russia is an imperialist. Been a goddamn imperialist. When they was with the Soviet Union, they had damn near had 4/5 of the Asian continent under their goddamn control. They damn near had 4/5 of the goddamn or the goddamn Asian continent under their control. Damn near, I ain't gonna say 4/5, but I'll tell you what, 3/5. They damn near had 3/5 of the Asian continent under their control. Okay, so don't come telling me about no Russia and all that. China too. Shit, China ain't been nothing but a big ass bully over there, bullying them smaller nations and shit. But anyway, family, y'all got to keep you as we move closer and closer. All this saber rattling that's going on. You got to look at these motherfuckers, you know. Yeah, you got to look at it and be careful. You know that they would have some form of sleeper cells over here in the United States. We had to be careful. We had to be vigilant and keep our eyes open, you know, and make sure that if you see something, say something. This is General Cyrus Seti. I'm out for the night, family. Hit that subscribe button immediately. Do not get off here without hitting the subscribe button. I want you to share this information with your family and friends. Hit the like button. I'll see you tomorrow. Go over to the other YouTube pages and yeah, Japan, Taiwan, all of that. Yeah. Yeah. The Korea, Japan had Korea under. Shit, Japan was the biggest imperialist over there at one time. They had Korea, all of that shit, parts of China. They committed atrocities on all them nations over there. I think they might have even had Vietnam, all of that shit over there. Japan was running that. You see, but anyway, I'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on that wicked ass beast daily. Liberation through African education and confrontation. Black power.